Welcome to the Kick It Open podcast, where we celebrate bold moves and reveal the strategies shaping success in the wealth management industry. Our goal is to inspire you to kick the doors open on your personal success. I'm your host, Shelby Nicholl. I am so excited today to welcome Julia Carlson to the podcast. Julia is a powerhouse advisor. She's running a team of 20 people, helping 1,600 families and business owners across the U.S. And she's the author of the book, Money Loves You: Transform Your Relationship with Money and Grow Your Wealth. When I was thinking about guests for this episode, which is airing right at International Women's Day 2025, Julia was so at the top of my list, so I'm really excited to have you here. Thank you, Julia, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Shelby, for having me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Well, I got to know you a little bit when I was at LPL. I know you have been at LPL a long time, but tell us about your journey in wealth management. How did you come into this field?
Sure. I think it started with my parents have a very healthy money relationship. They talk to us about money and investing. And then my grandfather actually invested in stocks early on in life. I actually remember going and visiting him and climbing on his lap and watching the Bloomberg's tickers go across the screen. And that's an early memory. And I didn't process it at the time, but I realized later. He started talking to me about stocks. My parents did. And I fell into banking when I was 19. And they had an investment department inside the bank. And I was just very curious. I asked a lot of questions and became an investment assistant and supported the advisor. Got licensed before I could legally start drinking. And then at 23, still working for the investment department at the bank, I went and I said, "Hey, I'm ready to be a financial advisor." And they said, "As soon as your advisor that you support retires, you can have that position." Oh. Well, if I would have stayed there, it would have been 15 years. So, because I'm in a very small rural town in Oregon. And at that point, I just realized I had hit the glass ceiling at 23. And if I really wanted to go chase my dreams and become an advisor, I'd have to go a different route, which led me to starting what is now Financial Freedom Wealth Management Group at the age of 23.
Oh my goodness. 23 is so young. It's so wonderful that you did that so early. When did you know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Was that something that you had always thought about?
Yeah. So again, I had a really amazing teacher in high school that he encouraged me to get into DECA, which is like a business club. And I was constantly dreaming up different businesses and presenting them in these competitions and loved it. And so, yes, I would say entrepreneurial spirit is how I'm wired, and taking that risk. I'm a risk taker. So it just seemed natural. It actually seemed kind of like no big deal. And looking back now, I realized how big a deal it was. But it was just like, oh, of course I'm going to do this because this is how I'm going to make it happen. So yeah, I have lots of fun little entrepreneurial stories from my childhood with my brother.
It's funny because I hear so many advisors talk about this and entrepreneurship, et cetera. I know you have shifted your practice to really focus on women entrepreneurs. And it seems like obviously that's very at your heart. It's very natural for you, given this background. Why did you decide to also not just have your own entrepreneurship practice, but in business, but also then to focus on business owners?
Yeah. So building my business over, goodness, the last 24 years, it's been such a journey. Like I have learned so much about myself. I've made some big mistakes, but I've also grown a lot, and I've found success. And so oftentimes our messes, what we're not great at, becomes our greatest messages to help others with. And so that was definitely me in wanting to carve out this market of serving entrepreneurs, specifically women entrepreneurs, because I've been there. Like I know how hard it is to build a business and feel like that's almost like another child that you have. And then how do you integrate your real kids in with building this business and growing a family? I've been married for, goodness, over 28 years. And I'm also married to a business owner. And so, goodness, there's been tons of ups and downs in navigating a relationship where you both have businesses that you're running. So I just really wants to help other women entrepreneurs navigate all of that. And I also feel when women make money, when women kind of figure this business game out, I think we can create so much impact in the world and do good. And so that's kind of, I'm on a mission to do that.
Oh, I love that. I have a little note in front of me that says from languishing to flourishing. And that's really my mission with my clients is how do we go from a place of languishing, whether, and unhappiness to this place where you are thriving and flourishing and aligned and happy, right?
Yeah, yes.
And there's so many women, I was in the corporate ranks for a really long time, but there's so many women that are hitting, roughly our ages or even in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and are saying, gosh, I want more now. And so I think what you're doing with women entrepreneurs could be so powerful.
Yeah. And what I found is like, as women, it's like, oh, okay, once I hit that $1 million mark, I'll be successful. Or once I hit this, I'll be successful. But what you just said is key is like, how do we find that joy and fulfillment in the journey of becoming who we're meant to be in this world? And so for me, yeah, it's not just about hitting an 8-figure business or a 9-figure business. Like our goals will keep going, but it's more about like who we become in the process of that, who I've become in the process of that, and how I'm helping others now do that. That's to me the real joy of it. The money kind of takes care of itself. So it's like, how do we inspire women to become better versions of themselves, because we can just impact so many more people that way.
How has this focus on entrepreneurs changed your practice, like the actual wealth management side of your business?
It's right now a small part of what I'm doing. And so I'm blessed with an amazing team that takes really great care of our clients. And so, yes, very much of our client base is the millionaire next door. It's the mass affluent. And so that still carries on. But also what's really cool is all of those clients have seen my journey of building my business. So although they may not be the business owner client that I'm working like in the trenches with, they see the evolution of what I'm doing and, are my biggest fans, frankly. And so I think very much a part of financial freedom will be continuing to serve those populations, but we are carving out this niche in serving women entrepreneurs and building a service model that will really support them and help them and know them.
Are you also doing business owner entrepreneurship coaching? What does that look like for you?
So I'm learning as I go, but what I've discovered now is the client that owns a retail or a restaurant in Oregon, it has the same things as, a women business owner that's an advisor, like my business, on the East Coast. The systems that I'm teaching these women entrepreneurs to put into their business, whether it's financially or business scaling or growth, there are similarities across the board.
That's wonderful. And I think there have been so many advisors that have looked up to you for so long, right? And have wanted to build out a business like yours. And you had this great entrepreneurship spirit. Did you always feel like you were going to be the CEO? Some advisors I talk with, that's especially women advisors, that was a shift they had to make. They had to get comfortable with being a CEO. How did that come about for you?
I should go back and see when I started calling myself a CEO.
Yeah.
It was probably when I had like 5 or 6 employees, and I'm like, I am embodying this. So I would say yes. I feel like I've always been like a business owner first, advisor second, and I realize that that's not normal. So a lot of people
that's very different. Yes.
So most people are advisor first, and then they have to figure out, oh, how do I be a better business owner? Which I would say it was both in the beginning, but I really I didn't know that my business would be like it is today, but I did have this dream of building a business that was bigger than myself. And so it's definitely a mindset shift, and especially even now when I get kind of sucked back into the weeds or, someone really wants to talk to me, it's like, I have to think about, am I thinking about this as from an advisor perspective or a CEO perspective?
Yeah, that's an important distinction and one that's probably, it has to become habit, right? Talk about that. That's such a mindset shift. Were there any other mindset shifts that you had to make over these years?
Oh, goodness. Well, I would say a lot of mindset shifts, right? So I have Jason, who is my president, and mainly because where my strength is more visionary. My strength is I can see the big picture. I can see how things come together, marketing and collaborating and meeting people. Like those are all my strengths, where Jason's strengths is more of managing and how do we get this vision that Julia has and implement it into the business and keep it going and serve our clients really well and all the systems and we actually even now have someone coming up under Jason that's kind of taking on more of his roles, which is going to elevate him more. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, and I think the biggest mindset shift for me is I don't have to be the one to be the best in all the different areas of the business. And I actually felt like I was incompetent when I couldn't manage well, when I couldn't hire correctly, when I couldn't train. But it was actually a shift to say, no, I just need to find someone that's better than that than me and allow them to shine. Because when you do that, that's actually you're building a bigger vision because you have other people bought into what you're doing. And so it's like trying to think that you have to control it all is just that will keep us where we're at. And when you give up control, which is very hard to do, is where all the magic comes in at that point.
Oh, well, let's talk about some of those practical elements, of those keys of sort of that personal business growth and reaching the scale, right, for what you're teaching advisors and other business owners of reaching that scale of that 8-figure business. You talked a little bit there about delegating and playing to your strengths. What are some other kind of practical keys to that growth?
I think where people get delegation wrong, and especially if it's the founder of the firm, the visionary, the someone that's doing it all and has to let go. And I made this mistake too, is we delegate tasks versus delegating end results. So for example, the very simple example in my business is required minimum distributions. Like we all have to deal with it, right? And just saying, hey, can you do this RMD? Can you do this RMD? No, like that's what I used to do. The now how we do it is we have one person in the company that is in charge. Her end result is to make sure that every single RMD goes out every year. So she works with all the advisors. She owns that end result. And so instead of all the advisors worrying about it, they all get freed up mind share and only one person is making sure that happens. So that's like a difference between a task and an end result. And so when you have people owning in your business end results, like owning marketing, owning sales, owning operations, you as the business owner can really step up because you have someone that you can count on that owns that whole area of the business. So I call it, we structure for freedom for the business owner, because you do feel free when someone has got your back, when someone owns that like you would own it.
Yeah, that's such an important one. It's interesting to think about delegating that end result. Are there other examples that are of that same ilk, right? I just think that RMD one is such an interesting one. Not only was it freedom for you as the business owner, it's freedom for every advisor to remove that from their thought process.
Yeah. So another one for me would be the sales, like our advisor team. We grow our own. So we bring in people that want to become advisors and we have a training path for them. And so, we have one person that oversees our sales team. So that is teaching them how to sell, how to do all of the planning and meeting processes. How do we standardize all of that? We get together every Thursday as a sales team. I participate in it, but I do not lead it. I may inspect, hey, how are we doing on this? How many first appointments are we running? How many are becoming clients after that? They are accountable to me and the executive team for those results. So again, it's something that I can see clearly the activity, I can inspect, I can show up and see, but I'm not the one doing any part of that.
Oh, that's interesting. What about compensation for team members? Because as you shift this responsibility to the end result, feels like that's elevating them from just accepting a task and sort of being told what to do to really thinking proactively. How does that impact comp? What does that look like in your practice?
Yeah. So in our company, we like to build the spirit of the intrapreneur. We have short-term benefits, but we also have a long-term incentive plan that mirrors the growth of the company. So everyone can participate in that, which has their buy-in. We want the people that choose to have their careers here over the long term, we want them to be rewarded for that. And then short term, we really are aligned with team incentives. We set team goals, all go for them, and our bonuses are based on hitting our team goals. And then advisors do have a separate type of bonus plan based on their activity. And that could be based on how many client appointments they're running. Some of our advisors take care of our clients. So their compensation is going to be more, hey, let's make sure our clients are getting taken care of. And then other advisors are more about developing new relationships and bringing on new money and all of that. So it really, we meet the advisor where they're at, help develop that plan for them, and then compensate them in their bonus on hitting those metrics.
You used the word a moment ago of inspect performance. Can you talk a little bit about inspecting and how you do that? Like, is there a system that you're using or KPIs? What does that look like?
So we use Salesforce CRM. And then we've spent a lot of money on consultants making it ours and putting our KPIs in there, our reporting in there. So we know from the point that someone comes into our world as a prospect, how many calls are they getting? How many emails? Are they opening the emails? Are we then an advisor reaching out to them proactively? So we'll see different aspects of that prospect to client journey to make sure that it's happening. But then me as the leader or in the executive team can go in and we have our dashboard that says, okay, our goal is to have 1,000 new prospects in. Where are we at? And so we track that every Monday. We are looking at our dashboard. We call it scorecard to say where are we at with our numbers. So that's inspecting. Is everything working on all cylinders, right? Like we have leading indicators, lagging indicators, revenue, like is everything on track? And it allows us to like very quickly see if something isn't on track. And then you can go inspect that area and say, hey, how do we need to, shift this? Do we need to do more marketing? Do we need to do more client calls? Like what activity needs to happen to make sure we're operating at, peak efficiency.
Yeah. And at whatever level you want at that moment, probably also for that portion of the business. Are you an EOS user? I hear a lot of advisors that are.
Yeah. So I read EOS back in 2017, 2018, and then we implemented it into our company. We've adapted it. We're not purist. So we call it the Freedom 10 instead of the Level 10. We do the accountability chart is huge, but we also have an organizational chart. So it's I think what was a key turning point for me was I was running EOS pretty purely. And then I went to another program, and the first thing he said to me is like, what's your scaling plan? And I'm like, scaling plan? That's interesting. I had put growing and scaling into all one box, if you will.
Ah, yes.
And so this was Ray Sclafani, actually. So he said, growing without scaling is chaos. And scaling without growing is bankruptcy. And I'm like, that just blew my mind, because I was like, I have been in very low profit years building my multi-million dollar business. And I have been in high profit years. I have been in chaotic years and foundational years where we're putting in systems. And so for me, that was all kind of all in one like ball. But when I heard that, I'm like, oh, we need a scaling plan. We need a more strategic plan, which EOS is really good at giving you those metrics. But I feel like bringing in more strategic planning and having actually a facilitator do that, I'm learning again. Like I'm thinking about things differently, and that has been like really huge for us to get to our next level.
It's really huge for you. It's also so fun, right?
So fun.
Are you a financial advisor ready for a big leap? Making the decision to leave your firm, whether it's a broker-dealer or an RIA, can feel like stepping into the unknown. Muriel Consulting provides personalized, unbiased support to help you navigate transformational career moves with confidence and confidentiality. Schedule a discovery call at murielconsulting.com. MURIEL consulting.com.
Many women, I want to talk a little bit about women advisors. In your experience, do you see them sort of struggle with certain aspects of running the business versus others?
Yeah, I mean, I would say letting go of control, but men probably have that too. But I would say it's like even our relationships, right? Like I have clients that I've served for 25 years. I have people that followed me from the bank. So, these people, I brought my car seat, I breastfed in front of them, right? Like they have these real relationships with me. And so for me to now have to have these conversations of, I'm not the best advisor for you anymore. My other advisors will serve you way better than I will, because they have capacity, they have time. So that's probably been a hard challenge for me, is not feeling like I'm disappointing people. And I think that's a very, like, as women, we care deeply about these relationships that we create with others. And oh gosh, how are they going to feel now if I'm going to move them to another advisor? But that was a mindset shift for me too, because it's like I'm selfish if I'm trying to do this all myself, because they're not getting the best. So It's like I had to check myself and be like, okay, this may be a hard conversation, but I'm still going to see them at events. I'm still going to see them in the communities. They're still going to follow me on social. And this really is in their best interest.
Yeah, it's such a gift to delegate, right? It's a gift to the people that you're delegating to, because it lets them rise, and it Absolutely. Is in this case to the clients too. But it is hard, right?
Yeah, you just made a really good point, because I talk about this in my book. It's like, as women, receiving is actually hard for us, and it could be as simple as a compliment. Oh, you look beautiful today. And if you deflect compliments, that is a telltale sign that you are a bad receiver.
Yes.
So if you're deflecting or turning around and, no, you look great, like you're giving it away, that you need to reflect on why can't you receive? And that was me. Like I could not receive. And I have a story. My daughter was in a horrible accident, and through that, I had to learn how to receive and let go of control. And what I learned through that is receiving is actually allowing someone else to give.
Yes.
And so when you're like, oh, this is like a gift to the other person for me to receive that. And so for me, I don't know, it just did something in my mind that was like, okay, receiving, if I am a good receiver, that actually allows me to keep that flow open.
It's beautiful when you say it like that, right? And it's funny, Julia, I just read that section of your book today. So apparently I needed to hear this, I think, maybe. Many of us, especially women, right, we end up also getting to a place of burnout. And have you experienced that? How do you avoid it? What's your best
Yeah.
advice for that now?
Yeah. I mean, I would say, this is something I run hard. Like I am passionate. I love what I do. I love my business. I love being with people. Like I just run hard, and I don't want to beat myself up for that. So I feel like, yeah, there are times when I've definitely been at burnout, and it showed up in my health. It showed up in my relationships, like putting my business before my husband or putting my business before my kids. Like I remember it was my middle daughter, and she said like, she was young, like small grade school, like, I just want to be one of your clients, mom, so you'll spend time with me. Like, right?
Oh,
But even at that
yeah.
point, like I heard it and I was like, but my medicine was the doing, it was the achieving. And so I was addicted to the success of outward, right? And so that's where through, my daughter's accident, through like getting these wake up calls of for me, it was a self-worth issue. So for me, I found my value, my sense of self-worth in the doing. And I had to detach that and say, even if I don't do anything, even if I stay home this summer and help my daughter recover, I am worthy. There's nothing I need to do. We are all worthy. And so it became a journey about like my beingness. Like I'm going to be a great mom. I'm going to be a great entrepreneur. And that became like this journey of self-leadership, about that being more important than the results, if that makes sense.
That's another just beautiful reminder. And it's funny, there was a podcast we did probably 8 months ago, maybe 6, something like that, on being leadership. And it was so interesting because my guest there talked about you're not just acting and performing the part of being a leader, right? You are a leader, and you show up as a leader at Starbucks, at wherever you are in your life, at the PTA meeting, and at the office too. But it's that just embodiment, and I think that embodiment is something that women especially were kind of taught to not embody. And so I know that for me, that's been a big learning element.
Yeah, I do feel like I think about it totally differently now. Like where I was on this chase to prove something before. Now it's just like who I am, and I don't need to be sorry for that. Like it's how I'm wired to help people. And I have to share the full circle moment. So my middle daughter, who said that way back when, she came with me to the LPL Focus last year. And I was speaking and I was kind of the facilitator of the 3 managing directors at LPL. So she got to see me on stage. She got to see me shine. And she's writing her college essays. And her first sentence is, when my mom asked me if I wanted to go to the conference, I said yes. And I'm so glad I did, because seeing her in that element, going after her goals, is now allowing me, inspiring me to go after my goals. It gives me like,
yes,
yeah, right.
I have goosebumps. Yes,
yeah. So it was
what
like
a beautiful moment.
Yes. So it's like that mom guilt that I had for so long. If I could have a message to the women out there, it would be like, know that they are watching you, and you pursuing your goals in balance, I bring them along with you, right? That's what I like to do, is like, my kids know that, yeah, I work really hard sometimes, but they also know that we take off and we travel the world and we have a great time together. You may feel out of balance at times, but the way I like to think about it is we're constantly creating our balance. And so it's like bring your family along for the journey of it. Yeah.
I love that. We definitely travel and love to go out of the country as well. And my youngest guy is 6, and he, because when you meet your forever husband at 40, you decide that you should add to your family. And so we have a 6-year-old and I have a grandchild. So we got it all. We have it all going on over here.
Wow.
Yes. Crazy town. Crazy. But those trips are so just incredible. And my little guy is so looking forward to our March trip that he has come down and grabbed his suitcase because we do a backpack and a carry-on. That's how we travel with the kids. And he has like taken it up to his room. I mean, we're like 8 weeks still out from this trip.
That's
and
adorable.
He's so excited about it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I wanted to also just touch on one kind of like last major topic, which was around women advisors and fitting into sort of this like masculine model. And I know when we prepped and talked earlier for this recording, I shared with you that as I had talked with advisors last year a lot and women advisors, I was hearing them saying, you know, my regional leader or my mentor, my head advisor says, say these words, it'll close the deal, right? You'll win the client. And they're always like, ugh, I can't say those words. That just feels yuck to me. And it takes them a little while before they like lean into their maybe more feminine side and their natural instincts.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that and how you learned to do that for yourself.
You know, I think we all have masculine and feminine in us. And that masculine is that like building the business and, you know, like structure and like doing, achieving, like we all have to have that, especially as advisors and building a business to get going. And I definitely have a lot of those natural qualities, but it wasn't until later in life. Because again, this was 20 years ago in our industry where there was I think we've moved the needle a little bit,
yes.
but very much masculine, very much male dominated. And so it's like fitting in to now just being comfortable being in my own skin and embracing more of that femininity, which could be the clothes that I'm wearing, a lot more color. It could be the receiving, you know, that like building harmony within a team, listening generously. Like in a sales type situation, I worked with one of my 8-figure women yesterday, and there was no funky closing lines. It was just more like, do you want to do this with me? Because I'm really fired up about your impact in the world and I want to help you. And I think we'll be an amazing team together. It's like, of course, the answer is yes, right? It's like, because you're listening generously, you're understanding what their goals are, and then you're saying, hey, how do we work together to help make those happen? And so it's the compassion, it's the harmony, it's the working together. Like those are all the femininity parts that we get to bring to this business that I think are natural sales abilities. Like I don't even think about it in sales. It's just they call me the assumptive closer in the office because we have to look at like how do you, because you have to teach someone what are these sales steps, right? And it wasn't until we started teaching these that I'm like, do we really say that? Like I wouldn't say that. And so I think I just assume that people are going to want to work with us because I am confident that we can deliver good advice and be that partner that's going to help them, whether it grow their investments, grow their legacy, build a big business. So I'm shifting, you know, back right now in this conversation between masculine and feminine. But I think that's the beauty of it is we can all embrace more of that feminine side.
Oh, yeah. And what I love about that kind of assumptive closer is that it is because you have such energy and you're fired up about that person, right? And you're excited about working with them. And on the wealth side, you are excited about working with them because you like them and you want them to succeed in their life and their dreams and their aspirations. And so you're just bringing that joy, that generosity to them is what it sounds like.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's lovely. All right. So I want to ask you, what are you kind of working on now? You're starting to talk about business owners and applying that. Is there more of that coming in the future? What's that look like?
Yes. So I'm actually going to be coming to big screen. I don't know if this was happening, but I'm going to be on a TV show come probably 2026. So that's super fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
And
okay.
It's going to feature, like I'm building this system. Probably another book will be coming out about what it means to be an 8-figure woman. And how to scale your business, how to have an 8-figure mindset. Like this is all happening real time. So it's
Oh
pretty
my gosh.
exciting.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm now like starting to, as I work with these entrepreneurs, like I'm building the systems real time. It's just like when I wrote Money Loves You, that really was my process of how I've done money for the last 20 years. It wasn't somebody else's way, because I did that for a long time. I was a Dave Ramsey ELP for 10 years, right? And it wasn't until I figured out my own way, and again was authentically sharing that and sharing my journey, that it became easy, because it was what I was doing. It was authentic. And so that's exactly what this new road is. So I have a lot of the pieces, but it's like, how are we packaging this together and really serving other women entrepreneurs?
Oh, that's so exciting. Congratulations.
Yes.
I want to end on just, well, one, a note of huge gratitude, right? Like we've been all over this conversation, and there's such amazing energy and things that are happening for you in the future. And then just this generosity that you're bringing to the world. I do want to end on just like these quick round of questions. You remember how Vogue used to like follow people around their house and ask them like these really quick questions?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking of, because I'm that old. So what was the last thing, we have 5 of these questions. What was the last thing you used ChatGPT for?
Okay. So I presented actually this past weekend at AI conference, and it was a friend that was putting it on. So she's like, can you talk about AI tools, AI financial tools? And so I'm like, yeah. I go to chat and I'm like, create a workshop for me for financial AI tools, and boom. So basically I used chat in front of this, in front of the people. It was just like an interaction. Like, how do you use chat? How do you use these other tools to help with your own personal finance? It was fun.
Oh my gosh, how cool. All right. What is your favorite way to recharge after a busy week?
Oh man, I live on property in rural Oregon. I have a woods in my backyard, so I can hike for a good 2 to 4 miles off the beaten path. So I will do that, and then I will go into my sauna and read a great book.
Oh, that sounds so warm and good. What's one word you would use to describe scaling a business?
Oh gosh, I would say surrender.
Ooh, wow.
Yes, because what you think you have to do is usually the opposite. Because what gets you to $1 million in revenue will actually hold you back when you're scaling to 10 million in revenue.
Incredible. Right. What's a podcast, a book, or a resource that you'd recommend to a woman entrepreneur?
You know what book I just read that I loved was What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And I thought it was going to be more about what I just talked about, but it was actually more about honing your leadership skills as you become a higher level leader. And it's like those little tipping points of how you interact with your team, with your community, and how to be a better leader. It was really good.
It is really good. It's such a good book. It's always so very annoying that what got you here won't get you there, right? Because it's like you mastered that. And now you have to like relearn a whole new set of things, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But yes, absolutely. And then what's one skill that you've always wanted to learn, but you haven't had the chance to maybe yet?
I want to become a breathwork facilitator.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I love leading retreats. I know that I will be on big stages in my future and leading people, and I want to be able to lead them through breath work, because that has been transformative in my own journey.
I need to go do some more research on that now. I'm so glad you mentioned that. As we wrap up, I also like to always ask a question of what's one door that you're kicking open right now?
I am opening this door for women entrepreneurs. Like I am on a mission to help 1,000 women build 8-figure businesses and give $1 million away in the process. That's $1 billion for good.
Oh, that is one hell of a door. I am for it. Yeah.
When women make money, we will change the world. And I just want women to dream that this is possible. And I want to show them that way.
Yes.
And not even show them. I want to inspire them to go after these big goals, because I think what happens is we get to this level of success and then we think it's too hard. And it actually becomes so much easier in that surrender.
This is so powerful. I could talk to you all day long because I'm learning so much. Thank you so much, Julia, for doing this conversation with me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For all of our listeners, I just really hope that this inspires you as much as it did me today about the steps that you're taking to achieve your highest ambitions. Let's get out there and kick some doors open on your personal success. Until next time. Thanks for listening to the Kick It Open podcast. The Kick It Open podcast is hosted and developed by Muriel Network. Kick It Open is produced by Shelby Nicholl, edited by Aaron Sherman, graphic design by John Gallagher. If you found today's podcast valuable, please help us out by subscribing and sharing with your friends. Just click that little plus sign or the follow button wherever you get your podcasts.